Hello, this is Augustine D'Eramo, and this is our module, our video recording of the Excel session we did with partners this past Saturday. I am going to briefly go over the main points we covered during this meeting. Let's first start by accessing Excel online. We simply need to type Excel on our browser. I'm using Google Chrome. Once you do this, we're going to select the first result here, which is Microsoft Excel. As it's loading, you'll see my welcome page. So welcome, Augustine D'Eramo. My profile icon here with options to sign in, sign out. This is through my personal email. We have a list of other programs at the top left, such as PowerPoint, Word, surveys. We have the option here to create a blank workbook or to upload a file, an already existing file. I have the option to create a pre-made template from Excel. They have various options here, budgets, calendars, so forth. We also have my other recent workbooks that I can access, ones that I've been working on in the past. Let's go ahead and jump in. Here I have book 9 already opened, but you can create a blank workbook. Now that we're here, I'll first direct you to the top of the screen where my mouse cursor is. Here it says book 9. This is our name, our file name. Today we're looking at Excel functions, uses of Excel that are applicable to NGOs, to grassroots organizations. So we're going to be looking at tracking for an NGO event, let's say. NGO event tracking. So now we've renamed the file. And once again, to do that, I can just double click on this and it selects everything. And I can type in the name I desire. Next, I'll highlight the ribbons tab. This has several different tabs. We can start with file here where we basically manage the file. We can create a blank workbook, open an existing one, share it, export it as a PDF or in another format. We can print it off, rename it, and so forth. We have the Home tab, which is our main text editing, has our main text editing options. We have the Insert tab where we can make tables and charts and other visualizations. Here we can share page layout options. We'll look at these other options more in depth as we progress through this workshop. Next, I want to point our attention to the bottom of the screen. Here, first, we have the option to zoom in or out to change our view of the main spreadsheet. That's going to be these two buttons. We have zoom in as the plus and zoom out as the minus. Right now, we're at 100% zoom level. We can simply press the plus button if we want to zoom in, or we can press the minus button to zoom out. Continue. Looking again at the bottom of the screen, this bottom ribbon, we have sheet 1, as you can see. What we can do here is also add another sheet, and you can add as many as you like, really. And this allows us to essentially, I can delete this one, I only want 2. By the way, to delete a sheet, I simply right-clicked, and then I hit this delete button. We can also insert a sheet if we like using that. But again, we're going to delete this. But what this allows us to do is to organize our workbook. For example, we have this NGO event tracking. We can have multiple sheets for different items. For example, here we can have our expenses. And in sheet 2, I simply change the name by double-clicking on it, and then that selects the whole word here. And then I will type in what I want. Here I'll put attendance. Attendance. We'll work solely in the expense sheet today, but I just wanted to show you this option. Next, we'll point your attention to all these rectangles on the screen. These are called cells. we have an infinite amount of cells in this spreadsheet. A cell is made using a column, this part that the letters up here that run from top to bottom, and a row, which are these numbers on the left side. Every cell has a column letter and a row number. So this cell here that I've selected is row B or column B, row 5, or B5, as you can see in the name box. Now, this sheet we're on is for expense tracking. And let's say this NGO event goes for, we have it once a month for every month of the year, so 12. An event each month, so that's 12 events. And we're going to track how much we spent each of those months. So here, let's write the date. Or actually, we can put date here. And I will enter. I can move from cell to cell like this using the arrow pad on your computer, or by pressing the tab button to move to the right. I'm going to press left arrow, up arrow, and here I'll put expenses. Now I'll tab, and I'll now put in the dates. I'm going to press enter here. Our first date is January 2026, let's say. So now it has January 26 here. Now I can go cell by cell, right, row by row, and put in the dates. For example, January, February, March, April. Or I can utilize Excel. Right here we have, Excel is very smart, so it picks up on patterns. And since I put in January 2026 here, 1/1/2026, I can go to the bottom right corner of this cell, click on it, hold down, and simply drag it all the way to December. Since we start at row 2, we're going to go to row 13. As you can see, it's auto-filled all of these months for me. Now over here, I can, for our expenses, I can put in some random numbers, since this is a hypothetical event. Let's say I spent for this 105 here, 99 this month, 95 this month, 107 this month, 102, 88, 92, 101. These are all random. Here we go. 100 and let's say that September was a good month, let's say. And then we kind of went back down this month to 94, back up to 120, why not? And 135 in this month. Now, you may notice that I've just put numbers here. In this header, these are our headers in row 1, expenses and date. We may want to mention the currency. Let's say this was in dollars. So I will put parentheses, $, close parentheses, and I'll press enter. Now, what we can also do with this top row is, if we want the headers to be bolded, we can click on this row and press Control or Command, if you're on Mac, B. And now these are bolded. As we progress through this, I'm going to make a section right here for functions. So for bold, I pressed arrow key right, Control plus B. Now, we have our dates filled in, we have our numbers, but let's go ahead and let's say we want to move this date column B, in front of expenses. So we'll show the date first. As I've done, I've selected this column. Now I'm going to press Shift, the Shift button. I'm going to come to the divider between column A and B. I'll press, hold, and drag to the left. Press, hold, and drag to the left. You may notice this dollar sign is now bleeding into column A. To auto fit, I can simply go to this divider in the column display and click twice, and it will auto-fit all of these. It formatted as a table for me, but we can keep it as it is for now. Our next step actually will be creating a table. So I will select this. I will then go to the Insert tab in the ribbon and press the Table button here. Now the option here is my table has headers. We can toggle or untoggle this. Since we have headers, we have date and expenses, we're going to keep this. We're going to check it and press OK. As you can see now, it's created a table for me with the header clearly identified and different colors for each of these rows. We want a table not only for appearance, but for functionality. Because ultimately, we want to see which months were more expensive and which months were less expensive. What I'll show you here, before we dive into some functions with that, I can color code these expenses here, because it's hard to glance at first which months are more expensive. I can highlight, I can click on this cell, hold down, and highlight all of these numbers here. I'll then go to the Home tab and press on Conditional Formatting. Here I have the option for color scales, and you can do a lot of different colors here. I'll go with the basic first one here. As you can see, it's now color coded all of these expenses. Green being the highest, the highest expense, and red being the lowest of 88. Yellow's mid-range, but this gives me an idea of which months were expensive and which weren't. Again, let's say you want to change the color, simply select, go to Conditional Formatting, and we can do maybe red instead of green. So now red is the most expensive and green is the cheapest. What I'll also show you here is anytime we click on this table, you'll notice the Table Design tab appears. So let's click on it again. We'll go to Table Design. And here there should be options. For example, table style options we can select. As we saw before, we can remove or add our header. We can also add a total row. And I'll go ahead and select that. This total row automatically adds up all of these expenses through the month, which shows as 1250. So this is the sum of these. We can change the function by clicking on this little drop-down box. For example, we can choose it to provide the max value, which was $135, or the minimum value, which was $88 in June, or we can have the average value, which was $104. That's how much we averaged per month for this program. But we're going to keep it with the sum for now, as the total amount we spent on this NGO event. The next thing I want to highlight is the little drop-down box on our header here for date as well as expense. So a filter allows us to order these values, these expenses, from highest to lowest or from lowest to highest. So let's go ahead and look at the options here. As I said, we can sort smallest to largest or largest to smallest. Let's do largest to smallest. As you can see, this filter has auto-arranged the expenses from the most expensive to the least expensive. We can also do from smallest to largest, from the lowest value to the highest value. If we want to revert the months back to the original order from January to December, we can simply go here and go oldest to newest. And now our table is as it was. As you can see, our ability to analyze and visualize this data is already made much better with the table. However, we can also create a visualization with a chart. So we're going to highlight this table again. We're going to go to Insert, and instead of making a table, we can make a chart, which is one of these options. For this data set, we have a date and an expense. So it's best that we use a line chart. So I'm going to click on that. There's many options, but we'll use the most basic one. Display trend over time, dates, years, or order categories. And just like that, we've created a chart with Excel. We have our dates listed on the x-axis and the expenses listed on the y-axis. We can make changes to this chart, to the formatting, and we can explore go deeper into this into further sessions. But one thing we can do is edit the title for now, because right now it just says expenses. Chart title. Instead of saying expenses, maybe we can say expense, what was it? NGO event expenses. And then we can say 2026. We can also adjust the position of this. We can say above, and as you see, here it is. We can make it bold. We can make it italics. We can make it underlined. So you have many options for editing the text, editing this chart. And again, we can explore that in a future session. For now, we can move this chart simply by clicking on it, holding down and dragging. Let's go ahead and put it, let's say right here for now. If we want to move back over to our table, we can click on this bottom part here and navigate over, or press on a cell and navigate with our arrow pad, like so, as I'm maneuvering with the arrow pad currently. Before we move on to our formulas, I wanted to go over a few more functions. I just mentioned italics and underline. For italics, we can do Control plus I. Control plus I. For underline, we can do Control plus U. And we can also copy and paste. And I imagine you've used these through other programs, but I just want to share them. So for copy, you can do Control plus C. So let's say I want to copy this table. I can click on it. And rather than clicking the copy button, I can do Control C. And to paste, we're going to do Control plus V. So now we can paste, say Control V. And now we've made a copy of the table. But we already have the table here, so let's go ahead and select this one and press Control X. That's Control X for delete. So delete is Control plus X. Oh. Control X. We can also undo, meaning revert back to undo our previous edit by doing Control Z. Control Z, and as you see, it's deleted what I put in that cell. But we want to keep that, so we can go back here and do redo, and now we have our most recent version. So I'll do that. For undo, we can do Control Z. Oh man, Control Z. Now I'll finish this module by going over formulas we learned in this session. You can go and see all of the formulas Excel has to offer in the ribbon under the Formulas tab. Here you see we have some of the most used functions or formulas. We have some more advanced ones with finance, logic, and math and trigonometry, as you can see. But today we're going to do some of these more basic ones that we can apply to NGO work. So we'll go back to Home tab. The first one we're going to learn is sum. So I'm going to type sum here. Now, we're going to look at the sum. of all of these months from January to December. So I'll put January through December, and I'll press enter. Now we already have the sum of these months calculated here with the total. You can also see, if you select all these, the summary statistics at the bottom show the average, the sum, and the count. But it's good to know these formulas anyways, beyond this table we have. But you have many options for calculating and finding certain values, such as the average. But for some, we can put, for any formula, we're going to start with the equals button. So we'll press equal, and in this case, we're going to do sum. You see we have a lot of functions here to choose from. We'll go with the first one, adds numbers. It gives you a description, adds all the numbers in a range of cells. So we've now opened the function. We can manually type in the cell values, addresses, or we can simply select what we want to add. Now we will press enter, and we have the sum for those months. Let's say we also want the sum for, let's say, January through June, half of the year. We'll press enter. Again, equals the sum. Select this, and we can just highlight from January till June. We can enter. Our value is $596. Let's say the second half of the year would be July through December. Enter. Equal sign, sum. Select this first function, and we can select from July until December, those 6 months. And here we have the sums of these months in the columns. The next function I'll show is the minimum function. Arrow key to the right. For the minimum function, this allows us to find the lowest value in a set of values. So we'll start again with the equal sign. We'll type in min. As you see, we have it here, the first option. And this one returns the smallest number in a set of values, ignores logical values in text. So we can, like we did with the sum function, just highlight what we want to find the minimum of. Now we'll press enter, and we can see our lowest value was our lowest value was 88, as we can see in the table as well. Let's see for January through June, we'll type in again minimum, and we'll go January to June, and we'll press enter. As you can see, June was the lowest month, and that was included in this value, this set of values, so it is the same. We'll press equals minimum, and now for July to December, we will find the minimum, which is 92 in July, right here. The next function is max. This finds the maximum value, so we're going to go equals maximum. Here is the function, max. This returns the largest value in a set of values. So we can select all of these for January through December and press enter. The highest value was 135 in December. Now, let's do it for January through June. We'll press max. The max for January through June. We'll press enter. And we find the max value in those months is 107. Now let's find, we'll press equals for July through December, max. Again, press the function here, and we'll go from July until December, and we'll press enter. And once again, our highest value is 135 in December. Our last function for right now will be average. And it will auto-fit, perfect. The average function, let's go ahead and put in our equal sign, and we'll type in average. Already we can see the function right here. This returns the average or the mean of a set of values, right? So let's go ahead and put in our data for January through December. We'll press enter. So our average for the whole set of months was 104.1667. We have a lot of decimal places here, so if you want to remove that, under the Home tab, you can see this number section. We can simply adjust the decimal places with these buttons. So we can decrease the amount of decimals or numbers after the decimal by pressing this, decrease. So we could say it was 104.2. Now let's see the result for January through June. That would be these values. We're going to press enter. There we have 99.3. And for this month, we have average. And this time we're going to put July through December. And we'll press enter. Now, once again, we can see we have a lot of decimal points. We can do the same thing here by decreasing to 99.3. We could have edited both of these cells simply by clicking on this, holding down, and dragging over. And if, for example, I could add decimals once again, or I can delete them. But there you have it. These are some of the basic formulas on Excel, and there's many others we can learn. And I encourage you to look online and maybe learn some on your own. But for now, this is the gist of what we covered in the presentation. So thank you very much. Please feel free to reach out to me, to Augustine, or to Altaf, any member of the CLAW admin board, and let us know if you need help accessing Excel, creating a Google account, getting onto Microsoft 365. We would be happy to help you. So thank you again, and hope to see you all soon.